You.
What is going on?
What's up?
It's been a little while since we've podcasted.
Yes, adulting has gotten in the way.
Work and working late and having too much fun on the weekends.
Yeah, party animal.
Yeah. Some of my work and me have had to do work on the weekends. So I was in a meeting today and the project manager is just like, what's the weekend? I don't know what the weekend is anymore. I'm like, sometimes I feel that.
Ugh. I don't know this. I don't know what it's like to have time off.
What's a weekend? Excuse me, I can't just take a day off.
That's what I love about my job.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Right. Because my company is like, you have this amount of hours that you can take off, and I'm like, probably not going to happen.
Like, excuse me?
And it's just crazy because like so many jobs that I had growing up like didn't have that option because I worked like customer service jobs. So it's like weird. It's weird to have it now. Like, wait a minute, you mean I can just take a day off?
What?
Am I going to get in trouble for this?
I know. It is weird because, yeah, my last job before this was retail.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wait a minute. If I just move my clients from this day to this day, that means I can have that day free? What?
What?
Wait, I don't have to tell my boss I'm going on vacation?
Right.
What?
That's wild.
It is.
My mind is blown.
It's one of the perks of adulting.
Yeah. So in a few weeks, or a week and a half, I guess, from when we're doing this podcast, I will be coming back to Michigan for the Thanksgiving weekend.
I didn't think you were coming back for Thanksgiving.
Originally I wasn't, but it was like a decision I made like a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's exciting because we are going to do a Hot Ones podcast. And if you've never seen Hot Ones, it's a YouTube show that you'll have to check out, and it's hilarious and amazing. And Andrea is mad at me that we're doing this.
Just a little bit.
Because we're doing 4 sauces, and the last 2 are some of the hottest sauces that they do. One of them is the hottest sauce.
And what was the first thing I said to you?
Don't do the last dab. And what did I do?
The last dab.
What did I do? I didn't care.
No. You're like, I'm going to torture Andrea, and it's going to be fine.
And that one is going to have to be a video podcast for sure. It has to be, because like the people have to see our reactions.
Fine. Fine.
So we're gonna have to look presentable, and I know that's gonna be hard.
Clearly.
Oof.
It's a little rough over here.
Right. That's okay.
Actually, no. I had my makeup on today because I had to work, but
yikes.
It's fine. It'll be fun though.
Yeah. But is it? You sure about that?
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Not in the moment. I meant it won't be fun in the moment, but right. It's a good idea.
For sure.
I'll just have to like prepare.
Yeah. Just start. You gotta start crying in advance.
Right. Well, do you generally like spicy foods?
I do, but like I I've had some hot stuff, like I've eaten a ghost pepper before, but like I can guarantee that like this is probably gonna be worse. It's not gonna be good.
If Los Calientes is anything to go by, and that's not half as hot as The Last Dab,
Right.
nope.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen Hot Ones, check out an episode or two before you see ours, because yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, you have to. They're just in general, if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
just go watch a couple. They're really, it's great. You know, I think it's such a cool idea on an interview.
Yeah. And like celebrities have said that like this is such a cool idea.
Well, it's one, it's unique. No one's ever done it before. And two, I think the way Sean approaches the interview is different too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he doesn't just ask the basic interview questions that literally every
Right.
interviewist asks.
Yeah.
And some of the reactions of the celebrities are the best part.
Hilarious. Anyway, it'll be good.
It'll be fun.
So anyway, we are doing part 2 of a podcast where Andrea is a therapist and I am in the film industry, and we're going to be reviewing some movies based on our career choice.
Yes, yes.
So we can go ahead and get started. So, Saw, the first Saw movie,
Yeah, Jigsaw.
Jigsaw. So basically, if you've never seen it, there's this guy named Jigsaw, and he's a messed up human being who forces people to appreciate their lives. And these people are like messed up people, like drug dealers or murderers or whatever. And he takes these people, kidnaps them, puts them in a room or somewhere, and basically tortures them so that they learn their lesson, which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like gruesome because like what one guy at the beginning of the movie or the end of the movie, he saws his leg off to get out of a shackle. And another guy like has to climb through razor wire to get free.
And then doesn't one junkie have to dig through needles?
That's in the second one, but yeah.
Okay, I knew it wasn't in the first, but I distinctly remember that scene.
Yeah. And that same person in the first movie had to escape from a reverse bear trap.
That's right.
Yeah. And apparently, the director, James Wan, went to one of his friends and asked him to make that reverse bear trap. And he's like, obviously, like, don't make it so it can work. Like, obviously, make it fake. And this guy, or I don't even know if he said that, because this guy made a real reverse bear trap.
Well, because wasn't John Kramer an engineer?
Yeah.
That's what yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, in real life, this reverse bear trap could actually work. And if, like, you pulled the pin out, because, like, they kept the pin in or whatever, but if you took it out, like, it could actually work on somebody.
It's so crazy.
That's so crazy. And I don't even know if they knew right away. And when they found out, they were like, bro, why'd you make this work?
It just, like, it's screaming for an accident.
It's like, I don't know if the actress that was wearing it knew, but like, if she did, I would have been terrified.
Oh my God, right?
Maybe she did know, because maybe like that fear was like real, you know?
It probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably had to tell her for like safety precautions, so she knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But the main storyline follows two people. There's Adam, who's like just some like kid in his 20s. He's a photographer. And there's Dr. Gordon, who's a surgeon. And they're stuck in a, wasted out bathroom together on this giant bathroom. And their key is to get out of the shackles that are around their ankles by the time that it's like 6 o'clock p.m. So they have like whatever 8 hours to get out of there. Um,
And
Adam,
there's stuff in the room that helps them escape, but it's out of their reach.
right. And they do have the saws to escape by cutting their feet off.
See, that's the thing about Jigsaw is that, and we'll get more into this later because I think it goes into the psychology of him, but he technically makes every trap escapable.
Yeah, like he gives you the chance to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always have to sacrifice something though
Right.
in order
Yeah.
to escape.
Yeah. Like I think one guy, I think it might have been the second movie that like his past was like, he was creeping on women and like using like his senses to like just creep on women. And this guy, and Jigsaw was like, you are like, I don't know the whole thing, but he was like, you're like stalking these women and like looking at them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you carve out your eye because there's a key behind your eye to get to safety.
I was Wait, is that the third one?
That's either the second or the third one.
Because that scene disturbed me so much.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there an x-ray that showed the key was behind the eye?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. That obviously, as you can imagine, very gruesome movies.
No big deal. Just sacrifice your eye.
Right.
It's fine.
So who wants to go first? Do you want to go first or me?
Um, I can go first because you probably have a little bit more to say. I'm trying to think of where to start. So I feel like I feel like with him, he's an interesting kind of sociopath.
Mhm.
I don't even know. I'm not saying that diagnosable. I'm just saying in general. But because he does take people that he feels is like, what's the word? Like not good.
There's a reason for what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, but he's not just like torturing these people for no reason. Like his thing with it is basically like be happy and grateful that you're alive.
Right.
Because doesn't he say at the end of like the first movie, like, congratulations, you're still alive?
Right.
Most
And
people are so ungrateful.
yeah, that's what he said. It's like most people are so ungrateful to be alive.
Yeah. And so, but also the people he chooses, right? Like, um, wasn't one of the guys in the first one like he was known for like photographing people's affairs?
Something like that.
And there was always something that these people were doing that they weren't living like their best life. Like they were being morally.
Yeah, like the girl in the reverse bear trap, she was like a junkie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it's interesting. And the fact that he's making them like we said earlier that every trap is escapable, but you have to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
So in his like twisted way, he's trying to create this like better world
Yeah.
and like make people learn a lesson.
I mean, you're not doing that's not a good idea to what you're doing, but the idea is there.
He's he's doing it in a sociopathic way.
Yeah.
but that's interesting because if you look at like any of the other slasher horror movies besides Dexter, he's the only other one that I know of. There might be others out there, but that they're doing it for like a moral high ground reasoning.
Right. Also, what's unique about those films is that Jigsaw doesn't actually like put a knife to these people. He doesn't put a gun to their head. He makes them do it. He makes them escape.
No, he just puts them in the traps.
Yeah.
That's it. But
Right.
that's the whole, that's part of his lesson.
Right.
It's like you
like,
have these choices.
Like you have to help yourself.
Uh-huh. Yep. And I think part of it is he's basically like forcing people to be like, learn your lesson.
Yeah. So I don't know if you being a therapist prevents you from saying this, but like, are you able to talk about like his mental state and like why he does what he does?
I mean, I from what I remember, doesn't he have a history of like wasn't there something with his wife?
Yeah, so his wife was like some kind of therapist helping people who are down on their luck get better. Um, and I remember that in one of the movies, his wife was pregnant, and for some reason, like um, the baby didn't survive, and obviously they're heartbroken. Um, and no, I think it was one of the people she was trying to treat. Like he like slammed the door on her belly, and like you just see blood dripping out of her, and it's like a miscarriage. And like this guy, like Jigsaw, like knew that it's the guy that she was trying to help that did this to him. So I think that's kind of when it started. It's like he's trying to get these people to not do this stuff and learn their lessons. And also,
Wait, was it his wife that had the miscarriage?
yeah,
Okay.
and also he had cancer, brain cancer, and um, he got to the point where he drove off a cliff to try to kill himself because of that, and it didn't work. Like he survived, and because of that, he had a new found appreciation for life, and he wanted other people to basically go through that same thing.
So I in just a general thing, I would say there has to be an underlying, obviously, I mean, this is probably an obvious statement, but like an underlying mental personality kind of thing, like
Okay.
so like antisocial personality. I in real life,
Mhm.
in real life, and then those events could trigger that.
Yeah.
So probably all those events, his wife having a miscarriage, her helping people through the sufferings, and then him experiencing his own like near death experience,
Mhm.
and having that he could be like, well, this is the it's almost a little narcissistic, like I have the key to make a good world.
Yeah,
Like I know I have the answer to what makes a good society and a good world,
yeah,
and like here are these people suffering and I'm going to help them.
yeah.
I'm going to be the one that I know how to help them.
Mhm.
No, you
Right,
put them in a bear trap
right.
does not help them.
Yeah. Crazy.
Does that kind of like answer it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think in the movie they made him out to have a disorder
Mhm.
besides like a general like, oh, he's a psychopath.
Yeah,
But like in they just took that diagnosis away anyway. So you can't really diagnose anyone as a psychopath or a sociopath. But like in real life, if someone were to do this, they would have to have an underlying
okay.
thing, and then at least in my opinion,
Yeah.
and then like these events like triggered it.
Mhm. So what happens towards the end, like I said, is that so basically in the movie, there's this guy that um, is thought to be the original Jigsaw. He's not. He is actually part of a separate trap that involves like the these two guys that are trapped in the bathroom. Like Jigsaw saying like um, you have to capture a wife and son or a mother and daughter who is
Wait, why
actually
don't I remember this?
yeah it's kind of like a random side story but like it's this guy that Jigsaw trapped and I forget what it is but like he has to basically monitor the two people that are in the bathroom, Lawrence Gordon and Adam, and basically make sure that these people escape, and if they don't by 6 o'clock then he has to kill Lawrence Gordon's wife and daughter.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it gets to 6 o'clock and they haven't escaped yet. So he obviously has to kill the wife and daughter. They live, which is good. And during that time, this guy that got trapped has okay, so there's a cell phone in the bathroom with these two guys, and um, this guy that trapped them calls them and puts the phone up to his wife and daughter, and you can hear that he knows that his wife and daughter are trapped and they're going to die. And then eventually the phone is out of both of their reach. They can't answer the phone because the phone is ringing again, and Lawrence Gordon is like he's sobbing because he knows that his wife and daughter are going to die, and then eventually it's like turns into rage and like adrenaline, and that's when he cuts his own foot off to get out of the shackle.
Now I remember.
So
Now I remember this. Yep.
I don't know if they're like obviously like it's kind of obvious like he's in hysterics and like he got to the point where he sawed his own leg off. But like, is there like is there any way to like explain that from a therapist's perspective, like what was going through his mind?
I think like the person to like saw your leg off.
Yeah.
I think survival mode can kind of kick in.
Yeah.
And I think people can get to that point where like they just they will do anything to live,
Yeah. Or have their wife and daughter live.
or that. And I think more than anything, it's probably, I could say I think that will kick in survival mode more so than anything if like it rests on another person's life too.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like you don't want that responsibility
Right.
of their death.
Yeah.
And like especially your wife and your kid.
Right.
Like you're gonna probably do anything.
Yeah.
But and I need to read the, I don't know if he wrote a book. I think he wrote a book. But I'm assuming it would be very similar to the guy that was trapped in that rock for
Oh
127
yeah.
hours that did the same thing
Yeah.
except without a chainsaw.
Right.
Um, I think it would be a very similar mindset.
Hmm.
It's hard. It's hard for anyone to imagine, but like I think if people get desperate enough,
Yeah.
because our brains are very primitive still,
Yeah.
like very, very, very primitive still. So that survival instinct kicks in
Hmm.
to be like, all right, anything, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
Rock on.
I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly makes a person be able to saw their
Right.
blood.
Yeah. Rock on.
I don't know.
For sure.
What else psychologically? Okay, so it's interesting. And I don't think they touch on it in any of the movies. You would know better than I do on this, but like he's trying to make them a changed person, right? Like
Hmm.
and appreciate life more, but you're literally traumatizing them.
Right.
Like you're probably giving them PTSD.
Right.
Like that's not changing them.
Yeah. Because in one of the sequels, there's a lady at the beginning that had to saw most of her arm off to get free from something. And, we cut later in the hospital and it's like a whole story, but like there's a detective that comes to the hospital with her and like checks on her and gets info from her about what she experienced. And she's like, you know, what the hell have I learned from this? Look at my arm, you know?
This is what I'm saying. Like you're literally giving them PTSD.
Right. Like somebody had to saw their own arm off. Like, really? How are you gonna be okay after that? Besides the fact that you just lost your arm.
I mean, listen, I you'll be grateful to be alive,
Maybe though, like that's not even 100%.
but well, exactly. Exactly. Not everyone is going to look at it like that.
Hmm.
And also doesn't mean you're not going to have PTSD.
Right.
Like you're literally just clearly there's no logic in what he's doing.
Right.
I get the premise.
Yeah.
I get the premise, but
Right.
not how it works.
Right.
It's not how any of this works.
Right. That's
But
another like kind of scary thing to really think about is like, this is the premise of this film is something that could absolutely happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there could be someone, and I mean, there are people that are insane out there, and someone could watch these movies and be like, oh, that's a good idea. I should try that.
It's my favorite line in Scream. Killers or movies don't make serial killers. They make them more creative.
Right. Like, because pretty much all of these like traps, I mean, if somebody were skilled enough, they could replicate these traps.
Not even that. People can use just the general idea of it
Right.
and like torture them in this way. Not even
Right.
like be like, are you gonna escape? Like it's just it's it's like a big debate. Like, is this actually putting ideas into people's heads?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But so from a filmmaker's perspective,
Ooh, let me vent about this. I love these movies so much, especially the first one. Well, I'll say the first three because that's where Jigsaw is actually currently alive. So he gets more screen time. But these movies are so good. And they're also, the production side of it was interesting too, because they, like, it was filmed by a director named James Wan, and it was written by him and actually the guy that plays Adam in the movie, he also helped write it,
okay.
which is cool. So those guys are like they're very close. They're very like cool with each other. But this was actually the first film that they made that made it to theaters.
What?
Yeah, and what they had to do, they are both Australian, and they had to fly to the United States because that's, LA is where movies are made. And they basically spent all their money making a short for this film and writing the script and flying to LA to try to pitch Saw. And like these are just some random people, like not known at all in the industry. And they're basically going around to different studios trying to pitch it. And they eventually went to Twisted Studios and Lionsgate to get it pitched. And at the time, Lionsgate was a very small company. And they basically pitched the film. They gave him the script, showed him the short, and of course, these executives are like, "All right, whatever. Like, we'll get back to you." And then, as they were leaving, one of the executives came out and said, "We want to work with you on this." So
Insane.
they started making it, and they obviously had like a horrible budget, a small crew, and they had like a period of literally weeks to get this thing shot and edited.
But don't you think that that actually like I think that adds to the film.
Yeah, for sure. And and then they made the film in a matter of weeks, and now, like, I guess like they didn't really release it into all theaters, so basically these guys had to tour the country, go to radio stations and be like, hey, please see this film that we made. It's at like local theaters, please go check it out. And now, like, now look at it now where it's like everybody knows Saw, like everybody knows the line, I want to play a game. And it has like so many sequels to it, and it's so well known.
Well, everyone knows how to play a game.
Yeah, everyone knows that puppet,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's so good. And I absolutely loved the acting in it. Lawrence Gordon, the guy that plays him, was also Wesley in The Princess Bride.
Oh, I've never seen The Princess Bride. Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Um, and oh my gosh, the guy that plays Jigsaw, Tobin Bell, is he's one of my favorite actors in a horror movie because he does so good. And that's my favorite serial killer because the way he, I mean, we've talked about this, but the way he does these traps and like his ideas are like so unique and they're great. And this movie also has my favorite twist in any movie ever because at the very end of the movie, you see in the bathroom, this gigantic bathroom, there's this guy lying dead with a gunshot wound in his head. And it turns out that that guy is not dead. And at the very end of the movie, he stands up, pulls like the makeup off his head, and it's revealed to be Jigsaw.
Right.
And that is my favorite twist in any movie ever. And it's so cool.
That's right.
And then at the very end, Dr. Lawrence Gordon sawed off his leg and, crawled out of there and saying, Adam, like, I'm going to go get help. And then this is before Jigsaw wakes up and he does that. And he says to Adam, like the key to that chain is in the bathtub. But at the very beginning of the movie, we see that the key had gone down the drain of the bathtub. So he doesn't have it anymore. So, Jigsaw starts to leave and Adam's obviously screaming towards him. And right before he closes the door, he says, "Game over." And he closes the door and you just hear the credits or see the credits start to go with the trailing off voice of Adam screaming. And it's so amazing. So good. Like I said, the production side of it is good. The movie is good. So it's like, in terms of horror movies, it's one of my favorites.
Well, I think that's why everyone loved it because it wasn't like a typical horror movie.
Right.
Like, and I mean, I think you could tell in a way it was like a lower budget movie.
Yeah.
But that's what it made that. Like, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you could just tell, like, it made, and it did, that twist was really great.
Yeah. And also the director, James Wan, also.
Isn't he one of your favorites?
Yeah, him and Peter Jackson are my two favorites. But James Wan also directed the first two Insidious movies. And also he created the Conjuring universe.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's like, this guy is a master of 21st century horror.
The new Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good. And also the guy that played Adam and wrote Saw, he also starred and wrote Insidious.
Oh, okay. That's like next on my list to watch.
Yeah. So him and James Wan are like a power couple. They're like,
I like it.
Yeah, they're like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp.
Power. Lately I've been watching a lot of like James Wan's movies and they're so good.
Yeah.
And they always have a creepy puppet in them.
Right.
Always.
He loves his. I even think like I saw an interview and like they were trying to create this short of Saw to be able to pitch to people. And apparently the guy that played Adam, Lee Winnell, he was talking about James and he was like, listen, this creepy guy is trapped in a room with these two guys and he's making them escape a bathroom. And James was like, that's awesome. How do we add a puppet into it?
Isn't his Instagram like creepy puppet guy?
Yeah. Him and his puppets.
Hey.
But like the way the doll looks and like him, Jigsaw talking through the doll is like, it's so creepy.
Yeah. Well, even if you look at like the Annabelle doll, it's literally a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah.
But what he did in the movies,
Yeah.
it's such a creepy doll.
Yeah. And also for the puppet and Saw, like, and the actor that did that, like, his voice is so unique and it worked for that. Like, I don't think any other voice would have worked for that.
No, it was perfect.
Yeah, it was like so sinister and creepy.
But deep.
Yeah,
It was perfect.
yeah. Like it was deep, low, almost depressing sounding. It's so good.
Which fits the
Yeah,
backstory of his character so well.
right. Dude, I want that actor to leave a voice recording on my phone.
Just get him to like make your voicemail. Do you want to play a game?
Right. David can't come to the phone right now. He's busy playing a game.
Game. Do you want to play?
And also, that's kind of messed up that he's calling all these traps games. Like,
Well, they are though.
in a sick, twisted way. Yeah,
In his mind, it's a game because what's the point of a game? To win it. And that's what he wants you to do. Like he actually wants you to survive.
yeah. Because at the end of when the girl in the reverse bear trap survived, the puppet comes out on a tricycle, which is creepy in itself.
Oh my
But
god, it's the
but he's but the puppet says, "Congratulations, you won the game," basically.
mm-hmm. Well to him, and I think that's part of the like the like just sociopathic part of it. It's like this is a game,
Yeah,
even though it's your life
yeah,
in the game,
yeah,
but it's a game to him,
yeah,
and no other like human beings wouldn't think that way.
right,
It's not a game, but it is to him.
yeah. Anyway, shall we move on to your horror movie?
We shall.
We're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street,
Right.
and I guess we can keep the thread going of doing the original one.
Me first.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
This is your movie.
Freddy Krueger.
He's your man. Your Freddy Krueger is my Jigsaw.
He's so freaking creepy.
Right.
Like he kills you in your dreams.
That's also a unique movie because of that.
Yeah. Also, I just love Wes Craven.
What's not to love?
I just love Wes Craven. But he's like he's so like I was telling you a little bit earlier, like I never thought of it this way, but it's so true. Freddy Krueger is literally the physical PTSD symptoms.
Yeah.
You have nightmares. Check one of PTSD. Distressing nightmares and thoughts. What else does he do? I mean, his backstory is a PTSD trauma anyway, even though he was a pedophile. But
Yeah, he has a like Jigsaw has like kind of a sad past. Freddy Krueger is a creepy past.
okay, so I like the first movie. I no, I think it never mind. It's been confirmed. But like, yeah, I mean, he's a pedophile.
Right.
Like,
You want to explain how he became like how he was in the movie?
Oh, like, well, I think that in itself is like, I'm trying to think of like, he, I think he was literally, he is the, I think part of it is that he's, for the parents, I think the parents had some trauma with it too,
Mhm.
because they killed a person. And so that's why he lives on fear, and I could totally be wrong about this, but like he lives based on fear and in your dreams because you're keeping him alive, yet you want to avoid him, which is total PTSD.
Yeah.
You want to avoid it. You
Mhm.
avoid the traumatic situation.
Yeah.
And then the more you avoid things, the bigger the fear gets.
Yeah.
And the bigger the fear gets, it fuels him. So he needs that fear.
Yeah. I think it was in Freddy vs. Jason where he said, I can't come back if nobody remembers me. I can't come back if they're not afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's why he resurrected Jason,
Right.
because if Jason got them to fear, then he could come back.
Right.
And like, so he needed that. But then he's also like, I think part of it is revenge.
Yeah.
Like, you killed me,
Right.
so I'm gonna kill your children
Yeah.
in your sleep.
That's right.
But what I found was interesting is that Wes Craven, maybe it wasn't Wes Craven, I don't know if he wrote it. It's based off of what I found out actually, is that there was a bunch of like Cambodian immigrants in the 70s,
Okay.
a bunch of like Cambodian boys that were dying in their sleep,
Crazy.
and no one knew why.
Right.
And so then Wes Craven or whoever came up with this idea of like this person killing people in their sleep, which to me, there's a psychological, like, it can psychologically mess with the audience because like you have to sleep
Yeah.
in order for you to be mentally healthy, and physically you have to sleep. And so if you're afraid to sleep, fear.
Yeah.
Freddy just mind is so mind, like,
Right.
just messes with your mind so much.
Yeah.
And he's also very dirty,
Right.
which is, okay, you love the actor that played Jigsaw. I love Robert Englund.
Yeah.
The way he plays Freddy is,
And I think it's one of those things like Jigsaw, like no one else could play Freddy Krueger.
no,
Like he does it so well.
just like how Jigsaw is like deep and sinister, like the way Robert Englund's voice is, it's like when he says those dirty lines, you're just like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah. And I love his laugh too.
I know. It's amazing.
It's good.
And I think with Freddy, like, it's an interesting thing because, like, if you watch, I think Saw has a little bit of this too, though. But if you watch like Freddy versus like Freddy, or not Freddy, if you watch like Friday the 13th, Halloween, I'm trying to think of like another slasher movie. We'll just go with those two. So if you watch like Halloween, there's really no fear for the audience because if you're not in Haddonfield,
Right.
you're not going to see Mike Myers.
Yeah.
If you're not at Camp Crystal Lake, Jason's not going to kill you.
Right.
But with Jigsaw and Freddy,
They find you.
they can find you.
Yeah.
Like there it could happen.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to, but
Right.
and I don't know. I think that's a creepy part of it.
Yeah.
But trying to think of well, are you wondering anything psychological about Freddy?
No, I mean, you answered the question about how he got to be Freddy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting because like he's literally just I don't think well one of the scariest aspects for me is the whole sleeping thing
Yeah.
because I mean you need to sleep,
Right. Yeah.
but I don't know. I love those movies.
Yeah, good.
But from Filmmaker,
Boy. Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, they are so unique, and Freddy is unique because like no other slasher killer kills you in your sleep, and no other slasher killer has that look of like the finger knives and the burned skin. And he's a very recognizable character because of that, and you know, the sweater and the hat. Um, and yeah, I mean, he's just such a unique character. His look, what he does, kills you in your sleep. Um, I mean, I remember loving it, and I love the look. Like that burned skin, like it's so creepy and it looks so cool. And like the makeup team did so good on that to make him look so creepy. And
mm-hmm.
Robert Englund is, I mean, I give props to him because he did so well with that character. Um, and then when they did that newer Nightmare with the other actor, it's like it's not as good as Freddy.
I know. Well, and it's funny because Robert England said that was like it was he hated being in that costume
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
with all that makeup, I should say. And he said one time the razor blades were really sharp, obviously, and like his nose was itchy, and I think he just went like that, and then they put the makeup on, and there was dried blood because he had poked his nose.
Really?
That he had been just there for 8 hours while he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ooh, I just thought of something though. I think another thing with the movie psychologically, or like as a therapist that I've noticed, is it really actually it portrays a lot of trauma
Mhm.
responses in it.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And they do a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Um, so not only is Freddie kind of like a physical embodiment of post traumatic, they also show like the kids overcome Freddie,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Well, I'll put it this way. So, if you consider that the teenagers can only overcome Freddie and really therefore their trauma once they're able to witness the terrible events of their past,
Hmm.
is exactly some of the central concepts of trauma therapy.
Right.
Like or trauma theory, I should say. Um, I mean, that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they literally, so it's interesting in that way, like how he is the physical embodiment and how they work through it.
Hmm. Yeah. For sure.
Mm. So, what did you think of like from a like filmmaker, like that scene with Johnny Depp coming from the bed or like getting sucked into the bed and all the blood? Because
Yeah.
I've heard that was a hard scene to film.
I'm sure it was. I mean, I don't know exactly how they did it, but that was a cool scene to watch. I mean, it's again just so unique. It's not like got stabbed, right? It's like sucking into the bed and blood shooting up. That was very cool to watch. And I'll have to look into how they made that.
So, oh wait. Okay. So that's what it was. So what I do know, because I watched, have you ever seen, it's on Netflix, it's called like The Movies That Made Us.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
I think they did, I watched it along, this was a while ago. So that's why it didn't come right to my mind. But like they did Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think what they did is they did a like rotating room.
Okay.
And so that way the blood would look like it's going up.
Okay.
But they did it on a rotating room. And what they didn't realize is that I think the whole set ended up getting flooded because they didn't do it right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like they had a bunch of, yeah, so they put it on that rotating room. So then the room, so the bed was really this on the ceiling.
Okay.
And then they just would like flip it over and
Yeah. Crazy.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think you're right too. I think I don't know, there's a lot of scenes in there that are interesting, like when she's walking up the stairs and it turns into like
Yeah.
fluff or
Hmm.
goop or whatever.
Yeah.
There's definitely some scenes that it would be like you do wonder like how did they film that?
Yeah. Right.
How did they get that?
Yeah.
Mm.
I also thought that the actress that played the main character was kind of cute.
I also thought her boyfriend was kind of cute.
Well, it's Johnny Depp.
I did like her hair.
Yeah,
I did like her hair.
for sure.
I don't think I've seen him. It's like one of my favorite movies, and I don't think I've seen the whole franchise.
Okay.
It's weird. But I don't know. Is she? I wonder if she's in any of the other ones.
She's in the third one.
Okay.
For sure.
It's, I don't know. I think Wes Craven, like if you look at Nightmare on Elm Street and then Scream, he does like unique things
Yeah,
in his
definitely.
movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
uh,
that's right.
I wish there was more, but I feel like Freddy's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he just likes to traumatize them.
Right. Um, so we got a couple comedies as well. First one we can do
Yeah.
is our beloved Tommy Boy,
Tommy
which
Boy.
is a perfect movie. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 every time.
That's right.
Every time.
right? So, filmmaker's perspective, it's so good. It's a buddy comedy, and it works so well because David Spade and Chris Farley are so perfect together. And I mean, they're close in real life too, which I think makes it that much better. And I think that makes their acting so much better.
Well, I think you can tell it's mimicked. I think you can tell that it's like the real dynamic between them. It's not just like the on-screen dynamic. It's just their dynamic.
Yeah. And like, the scenes are so good. I love the scene on the airplane. It's so hilarious about David Spade doing the speech and Tommy Boy like going through the motions and him putting on the whatever air vest that's too tight for him. And it's so hilarious. And David Spade's like, he's a big dumb animal, isn't he, folks?
I've never seen my mom crack up so much than I have in this movie, especially the airplane scene when David Spade is like,
Right. And
it's
then
ugh,
and then Chris Farley trying to change in that tiny bathroom.
the greatest thing.
Just
And then
everybody,
he just like falls out after.
right? Everybody on the outside just hears him go, ah!
It's so great.
I just love the little mini scene about David Spade getting locked out of the hotel room and he just knocks on the door, housekeeping.
Oh my god. What's even great about that is David Spade said that he would actually do that
Yeah,
to Chris,
that's
like
so great.
to wake him up, because he said that Chris is actually like really horrible to wake up, just like he was in Tommy Boy.
Yeah,
And like he would get so pissed off like he did in Tommy Boy. So he would just do that. And then Chris would be like, oh, it's you. He's like, it's me every time.
right. It's so good. Then,
I also love, I mean, who doesn't? I think it's one of the most quoted parts of it is
yeah,
fat guy and
right. Yeah, it's so good.
it's like one of the most, I think that's what people quote when they think of the movie.
Right. And if you ever Google like greatest comedy movies of all time, that's high up on the list because it's
So good.
yeah. And Chris Farley and David Spade just make that movie so great.
I mean, even if you think of like the scene where he's with the toy cars
Yeah,
and he's like smashing them, like just David's reaction, like even though he's
right,
not saying anything,
right,
but his reactions to Chris, it
right.
just, they make it.
Yeah, they do.
Because if you think about it, the concept of the movie and the storyline is that great.
No, but they make it great.
And I think David Spade even said that he's like, when you pitch it, it sounds so boring. Of like this guy's trying to sell brake pads to save his dad's brake pad company. Like,
Right. Yeah,
okay.
right. But it's played by me and Chris Farley, and I'm just like, okay,
Okay,
let's do it.
it's done.
Yeah.
And I mean, even people like bash on Black Sheep, but I feel like they make that movie too.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you look at this from a therapist perspective?
Um, this one has a lot of like not so much individual like mental health to it
Okay.
as more of like relationship dynamics.
Yeah,
So like I think his relationship with his dad
yeah,
is interesting. Um and what I also think is interesting is actually, so there's a little bit of individual, but like he didn't like, he thought he wasn't good at sales,
Yeah.
like at all. But he had the strengths like of it. He just didn't know how to like hone it into sales.
Yeah.
And then once like David Spade like brought that, or Richard said that and was and like brought it to his attention, he was like, "Oh, wait a minute. I have this strength. I can apply it to sales," which I feel like is something that everyone has and like everyone can relate to that.
Yeah. And
Like
I think going off that too, it's an immature person learning how to be more mature.
while still staying himself,
Yeah.
you know? He's still being his goofy, like his goofy self, but he's using it as a skill now.
Yeah.
So he's getting more mature,
Yeah. For sure.
but because he's more confident, I think too.
Mm-hmm. A show.
And he knows he can do it.
That's right.
But I also think the relationship with his dad is really sweet.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
I think it's part of the reason why he's immature.
yeah.
Because his
Right.
dad kind of like handed,
Right.
he never had to really work for anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, rock on.
Because I mean, if you think about it, if you grow up knowing my dad's really successful business
Yeah.
is going to be handed to me, you never have to worry about what do I do? How am I going to
Right.
make money?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, I'm going to goof off
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
I don't know.
Rock on.
Yeah. What is your comedy?
That was my comedy. We're
Oh,
doing
that's
recap.
right. And mine's Billy Madison.
That's right. It is.
Oh, we know what were we gonna do? We weren't gonna do Billy
Oh
Madison.
yeah. The Water Boy.
Water Boy.
We'll do the Water Boy. Do you want to kick it off?
You can.
Okay. So it's absolutely hilarious. One of Adam Sandler's best. I would say my favorite by him is Happy Gilmore, but The Water Boy is a very, very close second.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, The Water Boy is just so hilarious. I mean, Adam Sandler is a good actor. I like him, but I think what makes his character is just his immaturity and his silliness and the voice. The voice that he does is so hilarious. Um, and I love, I love, I forget the actress's name, the one that plays his mom. She's perfect for that role too.
Oh, is it Kathy Bates?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's so perfect for that role too, as like his overprotective mom. And it's just so hilarious that like he's so not necessarily immature, but just like young at heart in a sense.
Mm.
And his relationship to the that girl that he's friends with is hilarious too. Like she's kind of like flirty with him, and he's just completely clueless throughout the entire thing. Like,
I know.
like Mama says I can't hang out with you.
Mama
My
says.
mama say, my mama say. So
I think
hilarious.
what I love about Waterboy too is that it is different from like the typical character Adam Sandler does.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if you think about it, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, kind of a very similar
yeah,
character.
yeah. Um, and I love like it's hilarious like his obsession with purified water. Like he purifies water using all this technology for football practice at a local college. Like, why are you doing that?
He took his job as water boy very seriously.
Yeah. And just I love when he learns how well he can tackle and he's on the football team and just his like maniac screaming as he's running towards someone is so great. And it wouldn't work without him screaming like that. It's so good.
I mean, I think Sandler, he does it differently than Farley, but they have that way of just screaming
Yeah,
in a second that like you just no one else can do.
right. It's so good. Um, and I also love the line of the girl at the finals, and it's like, what do you think the score is going to be? It's like, it's going to be 24-17. It's like, oh, that's a good guess. And she's like, it's not a guess. That's what it's going to be. And then it ended up being that score.
Yeah. I also think it's probably the movie that Rob Schneider hates because he probably gets that line all the time.
Oh, I'm sure. But that was so sweet because I actually met him at a Comic Con and I got one of his photos and he signed it. And I didn't even ask him to write it down, but he wrote it down anyway. And
Yeah.
it was so great because like he knows, you know.
My cousin met him, I think, at Comic Con too, and asked him, he's like, "Can you say it?" And he's like, "Really, dude?" And I was like, "Craig, why would you ever ask him to say that? Do you know how many
Right.
times a day he gets it?"
Yeah. Although I was that person once
I mean,
for Will Friedle, who played, Eric in Boy Meets World, Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney.
well, okay, listen, you have to.
Well, and I asked him, like, I think what I said was like, I'm really sorry to ask this. I'm sure you get this all the time. And he stopped me and he was like, let me guess. You want me to say the line? I'm like, yeah, if you don't mind. And it was the weirdest. He couldn't do it. And it's the weirdest reason why he couldn't. It's like the show Girl Meets World is airing now. And that line is being used there. And because of that, I'm not allowed to say it anymore, which is really weird.
How would they know?
Right. Like, all right, dude, come on, just like whisper it to me.
And also, what
Right. Like that's such a weird reason why you're not allowed to say it.
is that even a thing?
Apparently it is, but I've never heard of that before.
That'd be like Rob Schneider being like, Adam Sandler says I can't say that anymore.
Right.
You can do it.
Right. Yeah, but anyway, Billy Met the Waterboy, sorry.
I know.
It's just such a good movie and I love it.
It
It's one of Sandler's best, for sure.
he had that string of like, yeah, it's up there.
Mhm.
I think people don't I think it's underrated.
Yeah, definitely.
It is definitely.
I just love the lines that he says, like, my mom says I'm not allowed to play the football. I like the way that she says football because she says foosball. I don't want you playing that foosball. So anyway,
It's just so stereotypical that it's so funny.
yeah, yeah, it's so great.
I love
Anyway,
it.
what do you think from a therapist perspective?
So I haven't seen this movie in a while, but
Well, obviously there's the overprotective mother.
I was gonna say it would be interesting after because I haven't seen this movie since I've been in school.
Mhm.
Um, so it'd be interesting to watch it through that perspective
Yeah.
about the relationship because there's definitely an enmeshment, I would think,
Mhm.
there between him and his mom.
Yeah.
Definitely aggression,
Yeah.
which I mean is a main theme in all of Sandler's movies.
Right.
But well, back then.
I immediately think of Happy Gilmore.
I don't know why you would just immediately think of that.
Listen, just pops in my head.
I don't know why. So every time I think of Happy Gilmore, though, I think of It's All in the Hips.
Right?
And him like banging the golf.
All right.
But I think with the Water Boy, I think there's underlying to confidence.
Okay.
Because I mean, think about it. He was constantly taunted and picked on by the players.
Yeah.
Was it his team or the other team? I just know he was taunted. But like, I mean, he was constantly bullied.
Yeah.
And then he never really was able to like redeem himself, which I think is a lot of where the aggression comes from.
Yeah.
But he becomes more confident.
Yeah.
And then because like you said, how he tackles, right? His aggression, like he kind of helped him move towards that confidence and like, oh, I could be a good player.
I love the lines Gatorade, H2O. I loved it.
H2O. Just the way he says it. For any of you who have not watched this movie, go and watch it right now.
For real.
Like right now.
It's another one of those movies that like it's so stupid, but it's so hilarious because of that.
I mean, hold on. We gotta play the Gatorade. H2O.
Gatorade.
And some quality H2O. Oh my god. It is so. It is. I mean, listen. I tend to also like Big Daddy from Sandler.
That's one that I've only seen a couple times, but that is a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Hold on, is this the scene? I think it is.
It's time.
But I think Waterboy it's just one of the classics
It is, especially for
that
Sandler.
not a lot of people still talk about.
And we have to.
You know?
Yeah. The show.
All right.
Gatorade not only quenches your thirst better, it tastes better too, idiot. You're drinking the wrong water. Gatorade. H2O. Gatorade. H2O. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Water sucks. No, it really, really sucks. You don't mean that. You're bad people.
It's the best part.
So good.
Oh my god. But yeah. I think those are all that I can remember.
Yeah. A show.
Like what else? I mean, do you have any like psychological questions?
I guess not. Just obviously the relationship between him and his mom.
Yeah, there's definitely like a codependence.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, usually if you have codependency, you're enmeshed,
Hmm.
which, do you know what like an enmeshed relationship means?
I guess I haven't really heard that term before.
Okay. So if you have like, when this, like, a lot of times, like, a therapist might describe like a relationship between two people. If it's an enmeshed relationship between those two people, it usually means their personal boundaries are permeable and unclear.
Okay.
Meaning, yeah, so like there are no boundaries,
Yeah.
and like they're just, you don't know where one person begins and the other one ends. Like
Right.
they, and it, like, so they'll basically feel each other's emotions.
Okay.
Or it's like, let's say if like me and you had an enmeshed like friendship or
Yeah.
relationship, like if you become emotionally escalated, then I will become emotionally escalated.
Okay.
Like it's so, it's
There you go.
and not very healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not healthy at all. Not
Yeah.
healthy at all.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So they definitely have that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, rock on.
Fun stuff, right?
All day, every day. We might eventually have to do a part 3. We'll have to see.
Because there's other movies that we should do.
Yeah. I almost gave the idea of The Matrix, so that could be a good one as well.
I haven't seen that,
Bro,
bruh.
you were mad at me about Hot Ones. Now I'm mad at you about this. I would say it's a trilogy, but at least see the first one.
Okay. Okay.
That and Insidious.
You need to still watch Breaking Bad.
Okay.
What is it? Okay.
It's gonna happen. Uh-huh.
I feel like the way that is a lie.
Well, I might just have to prove you wrong.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna get you to watch Yellowstone.
Okay.
It's so good.
I've heard it's good.
But still, you're demanding me to watch all these things. I will. You have to watch Breaking Bad.
Okay. Sounds legit.
We could do The Matrix after I watch it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to do The Conjuring too.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Might be hard, but
Yeah. All right. I guess for now, that's about it for the podcast.
about it.
Yeah. So, hope you all have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Have fun adulting,
Maybe.
all
We'll see.
y'all out there.
Yeah. For sure. And we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
As David Spade would say, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bye bye.